We are live.
Are we? Yeah, I'm still. I just want to wait till I see for sure that it's on before we start.
You always say that, and then it records you this whole time.
I know. It's fine. All right, everybody. I'm Dustin Coiner from TrackDaz, and I'm here again with Richard Stanboli from the Monster Energy Attack Performance Yamaha team. And apparently he's in a hotel, but what's up, Richard?
Hey, man. Yeah, just get ready
you got
for.
you got a nice virtual background there to hide your hotel.
Yeah, you like that? Yeah, everything's virtual these days, right? Except for the motorcycle racing. But yeah, now we're getting ready for this Barber race. So we had a couple days between to kind of cool off and get ready. So we stayed on Monday at New Jersey, and yeah, I want to thank Mark Rosemo over there from Mark Belt. He did us a couple favors, but he was hosting that track the next day, but he let us keep the garages and able to work a bit. Yeah. So now we're ready to go for Barber, and I guess there's a hurricane headed this way, so it should be an interesting. I guess it's not a hurricane anymore. I don't know what they call it, but it should be an interesting setup day. It's supposed to be pretty wet.
Well, since you're over there, I mean, you probably heard that California's on fire, basically.
Yeah, I don't know what's worse, the fire or the hurricane.
I'll take the fire.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you could have the hurricane.
The water, yeah, it's gonna be pretty wet, but I think it'll be dry for the rest of the days. Though it should pass by then, but who knows? The thing might stall and just rain.
So you've just come off a pretty successful weekend for the most part at New Jersey, right?
Yeah, it was. Man, I hate to say it, but it was pretty easy. At least Cameron's side.
Yeah.
We unloaded the bike and he did some laps, and the track was kind of wet the first day. It rained quite a bit, and there was some water running across the track, so the guys had to go out and kind of tiptoe across certain sections. It was like crossing a stream, and you're on slicks, and
yeah.
So it was kind of quite interesting. I don't know why MotoAmerica didn't cancel that first day, but
yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, I was watching, and it's the usual spots. I mean, I know one of my guys was out there with the champion school a couple years ago, and right through that area where the stream was coming off the track, like kind of towards the exit at turn 10. One of my guys stacked one of the champion schools FC09s there, right there, trying to chase down Scott Russell. So that's kind of his bad, but
yeah, you had to kind of stand it up. There was like 3 major spots, and then there was also some water looked like it was coming up. And where Jake crashed, it was the guys kept running over it, and the water kept getting displaced further and further down the track.
Right.
And so later in the session, when he went through there, he made the right. I think it was turn 3. Yeah, turn 3. He made the right, and then he tipped left, thinking, okay, I'm already dried up enough, because there's a little tiny straightaway between them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't quite. It was wet all the way into 3, just enough to where he stacked it up.
He high-sided pretty good. Like I played it on the video a bunch of times, and it's just like, oof.
Yeah, it did a lot of damage.
Looked like he smacked his head a little bit too, maybe, but
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he hit the hardest part of his body, I think, his head.
Yeah. I mean, he was noticeably limping afterwards, but I think Jake kind of always limps.
No, I guess he hit his ankle bone.
Oh, is that what it is?
Actually came down on the ankle bone, so he got a nice bruise there, and it wasn't a twist or anything. It seemed like it was okay not the next day, but the day after, it wasn't limping as much. Yeah, he's pretty fit, man. I mean, that dude
he's super strong.
Yeah, he can
hop got that iron will,
yeah.
But I did notice that Cameron didn't bother with that stuff. Like, he just went out, did a couple laps, was like, okay, bike works, see you later.
The way he put it, I think he said something to the effect of, you're kind of poking the bear the whole time out there. You just don't know when you're going to get bit.
Yeah.
because every lap you take, you're kind of poking at it, and because eventually it's going to bite you.
Well, I'm watching him. I was watching he and Jake both were kind of doing the hand gesture, like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But Jake went back out.
Yeah, it was pretty gnarly. Maybe that first day.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to clear up by the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I think in spite of that, I think Jake still did he still in the session at P1? Am I right?
I don't recall if he was P1 or P2.
Yeah, Skoltz was up there too, right? So
Yeah, it was pretty much the three Yamahas were dominating the weekend.
yeah, time.
I mean, all three bikes are equipped with basically the same stuff. They have the YEC or the GYTR parts that we got, the Westby team, and they have our components like clamps and things like that, and the same electronics. So the bikes are very similar. They have a different swing arm than we do. They have a Suter versus ours. They have the fuel tanks from Yamaha from last year. So the bikes are very, very similarly equipped. So they're pretty close on pace.
Yeah, it's I'm just watching their times. It's just like, dude, I mean they're just ripping. I mean the first day was kind of mostly a scratch, right? I mean, you had to do the qualifying thing to get into Super Pole though, right? So
yeah, he had to be in the top 10, which was pretty easy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he goes. Cameron goes right to the top immediately, and then Jake he's kind of there, but that's when he high set in QP2. But I think his qualifying for Super Pole was taken from QP1, right?
I do believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe so. You didn't get very many laps at QP2.
And then, right at the end of Q2, like maybe 10 minutes to go or something, I guess the sky opened up and just dumped on you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we only did a few laps, and then, of course, you can't put the bike back behind the wall because you lose your time. And yeah, that's what happened too. When Jake crashed in QP2,
yeah,
the corner workers took the bike behind the wall, but he ended up riding it back through the pits.
Right.
So the time that he did got disqualified.
Oh, because he was supposed to go straight to Park Forma or something?
Yeah, supposed to go to Park for May.
Oh.
And so instead of it being pushed to Park for May, he rode it back to the garage, and then so his time got disqualified.
So we got a guy that's watching on YouTube, and he's just asking, like, how is the Jersey track quality? He says he's a Cali dude, and what was all that green stuff on the side of the track? It looks beautiful.
Oh, the green stuff.
You don't have any green stuff in California, man.
Sure, we do. Whenever it rains. But yeah,
mean,
it's called grass.
Yeah, so I mean, go ahead, talk about the quality of that particular racetrack. I mean, I've been there as well, and but you being there this past weekend, you might have a different perspective.
It on the data it looks pretty bumpy.
Does it?
But yeah, but when I asked Cameron, track be pretty bumpy. He goes, my bike's pretty smooth. And then he started comparing his bike from last year and then this year, how the next evolution, this bike's quite a bit smoother than what he rode last year. So he was pretty happy with the bike. And straight away he said the bike's good. Did 5 laps and he's happy with that. And then we did some more in QP2, and then just put it away for the next day. Kept it kind of clean.
Yeah, that turn 7, 8, 9, 10 area. That hook thing, and then you go left.
Yeah. The big right. Yeah.
That is the funnest section of that track for me. Like I just, I watch those guys. I'm just like, oh, it's so fast.
Yeah, we came up with a little different gearing combination than what we were used to last year with JD, and Cameron rode it. It was less shifts, and he didn't have to backshift before that right hander there. And we saved some time in that section. So he was pretty fast in that section. So that was good. I think we saved like three upshifts and downshifts per lap. So that's really 6 times you're moving the pedal. So over last year. So it ended up being a little bit smoother for our guys.
So when you guys went back out Saturday, I mean, it looked like the track had pretty much dried up, right?
Yeah, the track was good on Saturday. The sun came out and started getting a little bit warm, but that track's really temperamental to the heat, like surface temperature. So, and you could see it the next day on Sunday. The weather was hotter, the ambient was hotter, but the track didn't get as much sun. It was a little bit overcast, and so the tires performed differently. So, because it's a predominantly right-hand turn track, you wear out the right side pretty quick.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like I mean, it's not quite as bad as Willow over here.
Big Willow, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but it is similar amounts of I guess you'd say rights and lefts. There's only a few lefts and a whole lot of rights. So in that essence, it's kind of like Big Willow.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little more technical. Big Willow is like the big freeway. Turn to the right.
Yeah, just keep going right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the track looked dry, and for free practice, I guess, Cam just went right to 21s like immediately, right?
Yeah, his pace was good. Our race pace was really good, much faster than last year. I think in race 2 last year, JD did the fastest lap, which was a 20.7.
Right.
But he only did one of those, but Cameron was able to knock out a bunch of 20s early on. So yeah, and then his qualifying time was obviously really, really fast as well. So yeah, it's just the next evolution of the same motorcycle, and
yeah,
it's pretty good that we're able to break so many track records with basically the same equipment. We meaning the R1, the same Dunlop tires, and so we've obviously made some steps forward, and Cameron's made some steps forward in his riding.
Well, I mean, qualifying, it looked like it was going to be between Cameron and Skoltz, right? I mean, and even Jake was right there too. They all went 20s, and then Cam just kind of went just a little bit more.
Yes, I think Jake was still kind of recovering from that crash the day before, and so he might have been a little bit tentative. We didn't really get much. We spent a lot of time fixing motorcycles on Jake's side than we did, tuning motorcycles. So whenever you crash a bike up, it kind of slows you down a little bit in the tuning development section. So I think he was still trying to get his head around how fast he can go on the bike.
So another guy that's on, he's saying that his name's Steven, and he's saying that Cameron seems to just check out fairly often. Where is he going to go from here?
I don't know. It's a question for Cameron. Maybe World Superbike. Who knows?
Yeah, it seems like people won't shut up about that. And,
I think if he gets the right spot, he should give it a go. I mean, he's the right age. He's for sure the right talent. He's the right speed. I think he can do really well. Might take. I mean, Chaz Davies was over there doing really well, and I think Cameron's every bit as talented as Chaz, if not more.
Yeah, like I have no doubt that he'd be close to the front right away in the right situations, right?
Yep.
So there you have it, Steven.
Yeah.
And then, yes, Murray Pratt's also like Cameron to World Superbike. Yeah, same thing, right?
Yeah, everyone's saying that.
Yeah, everybody kind of wants to see Cameron go over there and maybe do what Ben Spies did.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I don't think Ben even won that many races when he was the champion here, but Cameron's got the opportunity to beat Hayes's record. I think Hayes won 16 out of 20 races.
Yeah, that's the winningest rider situation, right?
Right.
You guys have won how many now?
Matt Millad, the most he won had less races, but he still missed a few. Right. And Cameron's already at 11, and then we have 6 more to go. So he could be, beating Hayes' record.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty cool.
Well, every time they throw a camera in Cameron's face, he tells them about how he's not paying attention to records or anything like that.
I'm sorry, we have 8 more to go.
Oh,
Barbers
that's right.
And
yeah,
then
because the 2 rounds have 3, right?
Yeah, Indy and Laguna are 3 rounds each, so we have 8 more to go. So technically, if we keep it clean, he could win 19 races. That'll be a pretty hard record to beat.
Well, like I said, Cameron, every time I throw a camera in his face, he's not about the records at all. Like, he's weekend by weekend dude. Like,
whenever you count your loot before you get it, whenever you count your wins before you get them, it's always kind of like bad juju,
Right.
I never talk about the winnings. I never talk about that stuff.
Right.
Someone asked me, so what do you think? You gonna win both rounds today? I'm like, I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. We'll throw the thing out there and see what's up.
Yeah, every session is its own little, challenge.
Right. So, I mean, what do you guys, because you had different conditions Friday and Saturday. I mean, like, how different is the bike setup wise, electronics, suspension, whatever?
Well, every track we fine tune electronics, so every track is kind of unique with the grip. Like I said, the temperature goes up or down. We change the compound of the tire, so that changes how much force the tire will take. And so you'll end up changing maybe the traction control a little bit, or the engine braking a little bit, and also some of the acceleration spots are a little bit different. So you'll change the wheelie control, or you'll change wheelie control in certain sectors, because the bike's tunable from corner to corner.
Right.
So every track has got its own little wheelie hill or little bump or something sets it off. And so, or the gearing might be, second through third in one little short section, and she'll have to control the wheelie. I mean, if you take the wheelie control off, these bikes, they flip over backwards, even if as long as they are. And, the beauty of having certain kinds of, let's say, electronics, it's almost like, the Stealth Fighter, when they first designed that thing, it would only fly, it only does fly with electronics. Like, a guy couldn't fly it just with a stick. So these bikes are kind of the same. You could probably have a really hard time riding it wide open with none of the aids. You'd probably crash them pretty easily.
Right. So, I mean, you just, like, you're talking about different tracks, but on the same track in different conditions, it's the same kind of thing, right?
What do you mean by same kind of thing?
Yeah, well, it's same kind of thing, like changing the electronics a bit based on the amount of grip available.
Yeah, so there's what you call a slip target, meaning that how much you let the rear tire spin versus the front. It's a pretty simple ratio. Like, you say, okay, the target's going to be 8% or 9%, and then you can change that for the lean angle. So you can have a small amount of slip for a certain lean, and then you can open up the slip as you get more vertical. And but the way it works is the bike has a certain slip character. Like, it slips very, very little when it's at full lean, then it slips a lot when you get to about 45 degrees or so. Then it slips very little again when you get standing up, because obviously now you have all the mass of the motorcycle on the rear tire, so it's kind of keeping it from spinning. You might be jumping off a few bumps and when it's going straight. That's about it. So the thing has kind of a hump. Let's say the slip curve. So you try to fine tune that so you won't have abused the tire too much. That's the way you can, like a lot of guys, like for instance Jake, he's very heavy-handed with the throttle. So if you gave him all the slip he wants, he'd probably just burn the tire off the rim. So that's when the electronics get kind of pretty cool, because you could take a chassis setup which is really set up for turning, and you can make the tire live. So you don't have to make it all soft and squishy chassis trying to get the most out of it.
Right.
Back to the whole Stealth Fighter, analogy. You take something that doesn't really work and make it work with electronics.
Okay.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah. So let's talk about race 1.
Yeah.
Cameron gets off the start. He did it even gnarlier on race 2, but tell me a little bit about what enables Cam to just jump off the line like that. I mean, he yarded those guys off the line.
Yeah, we have a procedure for the clutch that we do. We're into the clutch every session. So every time the bike comes off the racetrack, the guys pop the cover off and they measure the clutch and measure each plate if necessary. And they'll change some of the steels and things like that. So we're constantly making sure the clutch is just right. And every time the patches start, we'll go back and look at it and see how much material it lost. And if we have to change, there's a thing called the air gap in those suitor clutches. And that's how much gap it has before the back torque limiter disengages the clutch. And so that, in combination with the different springs and things inside the clutch, and like I said, the wear on all the different frictions and how straight the steels are. If you're into them constantly, you can make the clutch work really, really well, so the guys have a really good feel. And also that along with electronics, because when you launch a bike, you have certain, you basically you put the launch limiter on, right? That holds the engine at a certain RPM when the throttle's full. You let the clutch out, and the bike wants to wheelie, so then your wheelie control comes into play, cutting a little bit of torque out of the bike, and then also the amount of force that you can put on the rear tire. So all that stuff is calculated out in the ECU, telling it how much power to give it, even though the guy's holding it full throttle. But even the best, I mean, a lot of the riders, I don't know about the guys in MotoGP, I haven't seen their data, but they tend to still roll off a little bit because they're so used to doing launches with just old school, certain RPM.
Right.
It's kind of like the way you do it.
Thanks, Richard. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Old school.
I could never figure out how to do the launch control thing, man. I don't know.
Yeah, you just need a day of trying it.
Yeah.
I worked with Bobby Fong once a long time ago and he kept saying, man, I think I could do it better myself. It was just for like the Daytona 200 thing. And, he tried it without launch control, then he tried it with launch control, and I showed him, hey man, you 0 to 100 is way faster with launch control on. So we look at that, then we look at the 0 to 100. That's 100 kilometers an hour, and not 100 miles an hour. And so you compare times, and I think they're right around 2.6 seconds, something like that, 0 to 100K. Yeah, so 2.7, 2.6, sometimes a little faster than that. And so that, and also the other thing too, mechanically, the wheelbase of the bike, right? So the longer the bike, the more it acts like a drag bike. Longer and lower, the bike will launch harder. But that you always have to compromise too, like how good do you want your launch versus how well do you want the bike to turn.
Well, it seems like you've got that figured out.
Yeah, I mean, well, Cameron's got the launch control figured out, and obviously the bike and electronics are working, doing that part.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, geez, like the guy just yards everybody off the start. I'm like, dude, was everybody else sleeping? Like,
Well, I mean, he's got a lot of practice, right? So, like I said, that and having the right equipment, I think that combination, the second race, man, he really jumped out there, didn't he? Like 4 or 5 bike lengths.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
So off the start, race 1, Cam does his thing and kind of rolls through in the front. But Scholz was in second until Gagne just hucked it in there on the inside and just made this gnarly pass. It was so amazing. What the hell, man? Like, he had it.
Yeah, Scholz is he's been getting a lot better, but his outlaps have not been that great for whatever reason. But I know they've been working on that over at Westby, whether it's the rider confidence or their setup. They're sorting that out, and he's been a lot faster on the outlap. So he's gonna be tough to deal with in the very near future because he's getting a lot better with that. The opening stages, the first couple of laps. He did leave a little bit of room, and Jake took it. I mean, Jake really wants to go with Cameron. He's really dead set on matching that pace.
You know, watching the footage, you know, I replayed it over and over. And I mean, it looked like he tucked the front there in 7, but you know, was there anything that you guys saw in the data? Like, is there something that he did that was different that lap than other laps when he stacked, or?
You know, that it was really weird because our ECU had crash amnesia both times. It lost the last couple of seconds of the crash, both times. So whether the ignition switch got ripped off the thing and the thing totally shut off, you know, or who knows what, you know, like it didn't catch the actual impact.
The
But
bike looked pretty good. I mean,
yeah, from far away, it looked pretty good. I tell you, Matt from Color Zone is going to have a little bit of work for him.
I was going to say that. I mean, you know, after this past weekend, I mean, you know, do you guys have like a paint and body set and do you have like the guy in there in a paint booth and stuff in the semi or what?
Yeah, I'm thinking about flying Matt out to all the races and bring a spray gun. No, we haven't crashed up that much stuff. You know, we had Jake's done 3 so far, and Cameron's done 1, and we're halfway into the season, so we're right about allocation. Just Jake's crashes tend to be more dramatic,
Right.
you know, so it destroys more stuff. But yeah, man, Matt, I mean, hats off to him. Every time I need something from him, he gets it done. Like last time, we only had a few days at the shop, and we had smashed a tank, and then we had another smash one at the shop. He was able to turn those things around over the weekend and put them on the truck right before we left. So yeah, he's been doing a great job for us.
He definitely does good work. You know, I mean, I talked to him about that glitter paint job or whatever, and he was not scared at all.
Dude, that dude's painted some really crazy stuff. I mean, the road race stuff is like production work for him.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, his quality is crazy. I mean, he's only a couple blocks away from our shop, so that makes it really easy as well. And for a painter, reliable.
And what?
You know, how many painters are actually reliable?
Not very many of them.
They're all flaky. So it's pretty incredible. Yeah. I mean, give him a deadline, he gets it done.
Yeah, like you don't pick your body work up from Matt and have it be still wet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna throw it out there. I mean, I saw some pictures of like a welder being used and stuff, and there's a picture of you there's a picture of you that I was sharing around today of you swinging a big red mallet.
Oh yeah, we had to change a frame on Jake's bike because it broke off part of the lug that bolts the steering damper on. It broke it off the frame, and so yeah, so we had to change the frame. We always keep a spare frame in the truck, and so we had to dismantle the whole bike, take the engine out, all the suspension bits, and forks were tweaked and different things. The tops of the forks got ground down, and the dash was gone, and so basically we had to build a whole new superbike for him. And the boys, I mean, Mike Canfield and Walker, and everybody kind of jumped in on it, and I think about 3.5, 4 hours, I had a brand new superbike for him, from spares. Yeah, so that wasn't bad.
I mean,
and welding was Bryce from Yamaha. We keep a welder in the truck just in case.
Okay.
Yeah, little portable one, TIG welder. Yeah, and Bryce is a fabricator by trade, so he was there chaperoning for us, being the liaison from Yamaha. And so I said, hey, Bryce, you feel like welding something the next day? And Mark Rosenmo over at Mark built, he machined the little lug for us, and Bryce went at it and welded it up. Saved me a little bit of time.
And so you can use that frame again now.
Yeah, it's back in the box and ready for it to be a spare again.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a small.
So I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to throw out Schaffner's question.
Okay.
At what point is it okay to just roll out the spare bike?
Oh man, I gave him such a hard time about that. I think I yelled at him. Which is like a daily occurrence with Schaffner.
Yeah.
Schaffner, by the way, in case nobody knows, he's the guy that does the pictures and the video and the social media stuff for the team.
Yeah.
And the bike came in and just got off the truck. He's all, "What are you gonna do? Roll out the spare bike?" I looked at him and go, "Are you an idiot?" Which is the way I usually talk to him. He's a good sport.
You know, he's
I
he's
said, I
really
said, I said, is it the practice session already? Is it qualifying? Is the race coming up? I go, we have till tomorrow morning to put together a Superbike. Why would we, spend our last bullet, right?
right,
You got to keep a spare bike going. So what if the next morning somebody got into our rider and then we would have no spare bike
right.
and then we don't have enough time to put together something, so
So
yeah, no,
Schofter's doing a great job with your guys' social stuff. I mean, his pictures and the Instagram stories and all that. That's just super quality stuff.
no, definitely does a quality job. I mean, the guy's
Every round, I'm begging him to send me new photos of you that I could use for our little interview thing. And I'm like, hey man, can you send me another one of the boss doing the boss stuff?
I have a question
And
for
it's
you,
usually a picture of
Shopper.
you nerding out on the
What?
laptop.
Here's a question for you to ask Shopper. Is say, why do you hate me?
What, does he hate me? He doesn't hate me, does he? He
Well, I
might.
think I think you mentioned um, another video guy at one point
Oh, damn it.
to take
No,
his job.
Schofter's doing a good job.
Yes, he is.
You know, Gray's doing a good job with what he's doing as well.
Yeah, his question was funny though. Yeah,
Yeah. So,
I think I yelled at him until the next day about that.
oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
You're just like you're just an instigator.
Yeah, for sure.
Matt Testa says Schaffner's vest is awesome.
His vest.
You make him wear a vest?
I don't know. I think MotoAmerica wears like a, you know, something, some vest,
All right. So
media vest.
let's talk about. I mean, I guess we could talk about Superbike morning warm up on Sunday. Didn't look like you guys did a bunch of laps, but basically all three of
Yeah,
you guys,
yeah,
were in
uneventful.
the front.
Yeah, yeah,
I did see a nasty crash in there. It looked like Heron got into Vertorico a little bit. Caused
yeah.
red flag. Red flag, right? Or no?
Yeah, I think Josh made a little mistake. It's just morning warm up. If I was his crew chief, I'd be like, "What are you doing?" I mean, Federico was going. I guess he's just on his pace, doing his thing. Probably should have waited another corner or two to pass him.
He said that when the camera was in his face.
Yeah,
Yeah, he knew that.
yeah, he messed
Yeah,
up. He tried to stuff it in there, and I don't think Federico knew where he was even at.
right, right. Now I'm getting questions by people. They're saying that let's see, this Steven guy wants to know if it looks like Josh is settling in on his BMW super fast and looking good for this season. Former Attack team member, how do you feel about his chances for a future MotoAmerica championship?
Who? Josh?
Yeah.
Aaron?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still pretty fast. I mean, right now, Cameron's kind of on a different level. He's gonna be pretty hard to beat, but I would never count Josh out. I think if he's on a good team with good equipment, I think he's pretty capable for sure.
Yeah. And then another comment about Cameron. Yamaha needs to put Cameron in the place of the factory seat vacated by Vandermark.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. I mean, they're talking to a few different people. I think it'd be great. I mean, I like working with Cameron, but if another American goes for World Superbike, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's that's the common thing we're seeing week by week, right?
Yeah, I think it's gotten so much. I read a comment from an interview with Cameron where he said that I would go. Like people asked him, why aren't you going? Are you scared? That kind of thing. I don't
Yeah.
think it's about that. I think he has a pretty cushy deal here. I mean, he's winning everything. I mean, he likes going home. He's got things at home that he's happy with, family, friends, whatever. And it's a big commitment to go overseas and be beat up by those guys. Those guys are really fast. I mean, there's going to be 10 Camerons over there racing for the win, right?
Right.
So I think the pressure, all that stuff is pretty high. So it might even take the fun out of racing, basically.
Right. There's a lot of factors. I mean, the dude has a mortgage too. Like people are like, oh, he should go over there and ride for free. I'm like, yeah, you go and go work for free and not pay your mortgage. How about that? Like, do
Yeah, I
that.
don't know anything about his financial situation, but I mean, I gotta think that he's done okay considering that
Oh, for
well,
sure.
he's won 4 titles and he's been with Yamaha this long, you know, so I gotta feel that he's doing okay. I don't know. I don't know anything about his contract or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm just saying, like, he's a
I'm just a
grown
tool.
guy,
I'm just a
bought a
tool.
house, you
I'm just a
know,
tool in the toolbox for these guys. That's all.
right.
That's it. It's another tool in the toolbox.
All right. So race two, I mean, I guess basically the beginning of the race, Bradley Ward had this nasty crash, caused a red flag.
Dude, his leg looked like it was twisted around 3 or 4 times. I heard
Yeah.
a broken femur and
Yeah.
shattered
I,
pelvis or broken
I
pelvis. Looked like
saw I
his,
saw a picture of him online today, and he's in the hospital, and he's like, yeah, I'm doing good, but he's got this giant external fixator in his arm.
oh,
You
his
know,
arm's broken too.
yeah.
Looked like it was his leg.
Oh, his femur's busted too. That thing's all
I
wrapped
mean,
up.
it looked like he was scratching the back of his head when he came to stop
Oh
with his
man,
leg. You know, I mean, his leg was twisted around and
yeah,
backward. I mean,
yeah,
it looked nasty. I
yeah. So
thought,
he had a femur, and then, like I said, he's got external fixation in his arm, and a few other things. So like, oof, hope that dude's okay.
I guess Ridge could be a bone crusher too, because everyone was complaining about Ridge.
Yeah,
You know, I mean, tracks are tracks. You know, it's
yeah.
safety, safety. It's motorcycle racing, man. I mean, you know, you're going
That
out to
was
do
a weird
combat.
crash too. Like I don't know if he clipped a curb with his knee or something, or
Yeah, I think that's an easy curve to clip. I think maybe he cased it. I mean, he would know better than I would, but it's such a far shot. Looked like all of a sudden the thing threw him back in the seat, and then he almost did a wheelie kind of thing. You know,
yeah, no, he didn't
great.
almost do a really kind of thing. He did, and he was like doing the leg dangle deal. So
Yeah, it was weird. You know, and then the bike ghost rode. You know,
a little bit, yeah.
yeah. Lucky some people didn't collect that thing. It was pretty
Yeah,
bad.
everybody did a good job, like getting out of the way of that thing. It looked pretty violent.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I feel bad for him.
So, the restart, I've been noticing this. If there's a red flag, MotoAmerica takes away a ton of laps. So, the
Yeah,
race was originally.
I think it was the TV time.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, normally they'll take away only enough laps to make the total lap count the same. You
Okay.
know, so you don't have to refuel basically. So if you're going to do, let's say the race is 21 laps with the out, in, and parade lap, you know, that kind of stuff, it was be 24 laps.
Right.
So add 3, and they usually take away something like 4 from the current lap count, so you can have the out and the parade lap, and the sighting lap, and then the in lap again. But that time, yeah, I was kind of surprised. It took away a lot more, which kind of shocked us a little bit because we were on a harder tire, and we can't change rubber. In the old days, you could take the tire off and put on a softer one. Oh, we're only going to do 13 laps. Cool. Yeah, the races have been super short.
Yeah.
Yeah, they reduced the race length anyway to allow the super stock, what they call the Superbike Cup guys. They can allow them to have a stock gas tank and make the race distance.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have to extend their fuel load. And so between that and then the red flag situation, they're becoming sprint races almost, like short sprint races.
Yeah, I mean, 14 laps is, it seems short, and I was just wondering what the mindset was behind that, or what the, method behind the
Something
madness.
about TV time.
Okay.
They have to move they have to get the thing done for FS1 or wherever they're broadcasting. I guess they're broadcasting in Asia as well.
Oh.
And Eurosports. I mean, they have a few different things going on. I mean, it's actually getting pretty good as far as the viewership goes internationally.
All right. So before we go to the restart, there's the crazy Italian. That's his name on YouTube.
Okay.
Crazy Italian wants to know. He's got a technical question talking about the clip-ons, how they change the behavior of the bike according to the offset.
So we use what we call the 0 offset ones, that kind of almost like stock, where they come out of almost the center of the tube. And then the traditional clip-ons are the ones that go forward of the tube.
Right.
So it depends on what your bar angle is. If you like your bars turned back, you probably want them a little further forward. Otherwise, you'll have the handlebars, they'll feel like they're your kneecaps. But if your bars are fairly straight, like what Cameron and Jake run theirs, then you kind of want to start them a little further back. That way you're not leaned over the front and you get a little better control of the bike on the brakes. So it's about comfort and how you hang off the bike and where your bar sweep is, and the balance of the motorcycle as well. Like some bikes may like the bars a little further forward, while other bikes, like the bars a little closer to the steering stem, let's say.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah, the bike does feel different with the different bars.
Yeah. So I guess you'd have to try it and see what you like.
Right. I kind of like the old style better, but
You like, yeah. Well, that's your deal.
All right, so the restart, Cam again, that crazy start, and then, but what was crazy is Jake wasn't letting him get away. I mean, he wasn't, it took a while for Cameron to just pull out a big lead.
Yeah, I think we were the only bike on the track with a harder tire, rear tire. So when the track temperature started falling, like the sun didn't come out, and also the restart, I think the tires were just getting they were just a little too cold. You just couldn't get them hot enough to take advantage of the harder compound. I think that was one of the reasons. Also, I think Cameron, by race 2, he just wants to maintain a gap, and no hero stuff going on over there, especially after he fell down at MotoAmerica.
Right.
Like 12-second gap, he fell down. So I think he's not trying to maximize the gap. He just wants to finish the race and get his victory. I think you get conservative in the second one. But yeah, for sure. And also, hats off to the competition. I think Jake, his pace was really fast. Obviously, the Westby Skoltz Bandit, I don't want to call him. His pace is really fast too, and also the Suzuki's. I mean, Bobby's come along really well. I think he comes strong at the end. He's just not strong in the beginning for whatever reason. And so I think that a few more rounds, I think those guys might be right there. Might actually Cameron might have to actually race with someone.
Well, we can only hope, right?
Yeah, you guys can hope.
I mean, as fans, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I want to see a good race too. I was hoping, honestly, we kind of geared up for a pretty strong Suzuki showing, and we haven't seen it yet. So it's, it's the only thing we're racing against right now are the Westby guys, and from Cameron's perspective, Jake.
Right. Well, I mean, Skoltz got by Jake about halfway, right? And then, and it was like that all the way till the end.
Yeah, Jake timed that last corner really, really well. And he had a good run, and I think our bike is pretty fast. And that corner there is pretty good for us, whether it was the gearing or the grip or whatever. But that last corner has been pretty good for us. So, yeah. And, Matthew made a little bit of a mistake. He decided to weave all the way to the right, so Jake couldn't draft him. But, if you think about it, the speed there isn't that high from the end of that corner to start finish. So the draft really doesn't matter much.
Right.
I think he made a longer racetrack out of it, and that gave, Jake the, 14 thousandths of a second.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, if you go back to, I mean, right before that, Skoltz kind of came up on Vergarico and kind of paused for a second, right?
Yeah, that helped Jake close the gap. I'm not sure if that sealed the deal, because I think Jake was going to close the gap either way.
Right.
He was putting his head down to do that lap. But for sure both guys got hung up, because I think you looked at the lap times, I think the last lap was like a 22 something.
Yeah.
So Federico for sure held up the charge, but I think both guys I think he was close enough. He could have still been right there, because our last sector was pretty strong. And it's just that Matthew's sector was really strong in the first sector. So
Right.
yeah, so either guy had their strong areas. So I think that Jake would have closed it up anyway. But yeah, that definitely made it a little more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like Sculpts was a little bit bummed at the finish, but man, Yamaha sweep the podium again, so can't be too upset with that.
Yeah, I think he got second the day before. So they thought maybe they're going to get a second, and he worked out hard the whole race, right, to maintain that gap and hold Jake off. So you can imagine he was a little, bummed out, disappointed.
The crazy Italian's asking another technical questions. He says, "How do you make a bike do tighter lines? Lower the front, is that enough, or is there other things that could be done to make it hold a tighter line?"
That's a pretty broad question. What bike?
Your bike.
Our bike?
Yeah.
That's it's there's so many different ways of making a bike go around a corner. I mean, you can change the spring rate in the back, you can change the spring rate in the front, you can change the offset, you can change a pivot, you can change the balance of the motorcycle. You can just tell the rider to lean forward or lean back. Depends on what the bike is doing. Why is it not making a tight turn? Let's say, is it running wide on the exit? Is it not turning in on the entrance? So there's a lot of reasons. So you have to have a little more than just turn a tight line.
Right.
If you reduce trail, which is, let's say, lowering the front or changing the offset, it may turn in real quickly, but it may also run wide because the guy apexes too soon. So there's a number of different ways to make a bike turn a corner, but you need to be a little more specific. Is if my bike was doing this, how would I fix it?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you can make the bike short, but then it won't exit properly, that kind of stuff.
So yeah, I mean, you guys have been winning and podiuming everywhere, every race. How's Yamaha receiving all this?
I assume they're really happy.
I would imagine.
Yeah. But again, I think everyone wants to see a good race, as long as we win, but
Yeah.
everyone wants to see a good race. Even the riders want to have a good race.
Right.
But we didn't expect to win this much, but like I said, we geared up for a good fight, and the other guys should start bringing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they get closer. They're getting closer.
Yeah, well, hats off to them.
Bobby's injured too. He's still not right. Like that hand is still bugging.
Are they still playing the injury card?
I think so. You look at him riding, it looks like one handlebar is like out.
Not really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the extent of his injuries,
Yeah, like I guess he jacked up his wrist or hand or something real bad. So.
Yeah, like twice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I hope he gets it together.
Come on, Bobby, get healthy, man.
I hope he gets it together. Yeah, and then
one of the things I'm noticing too is that there's that team I've been kind of scumbagging into going superbike racing, and they've been racing superbike on their super stock bike, and that Cam Peterson guy is going pretty good, man, on a super stock bike.
Dude, his crew chief is Melissa Paris. Yeah.
I
mean, that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
They're kind of ripping. I mean, the dude's pretty competitive considering he's on a super stock bike.
Right? Yeah, for sure. You can't go the pace we're going on a super stocker, but you go pretty good. If you remember when we were helping the mean guys, with Josh Heron when he won the super stock championship, I mean, we could run in the top 4 or 5 of the super stock Yamaha.
Right.
And then remember, we even finished on the podium at Laguna.
Yeah.
Finished 3rd in the superbike race.
Yes.
So, I think it's totally possible. The bikes are so good nowadays that, put some suspension on them and throw some tires on them and you can go race, if you have the talent. Obviously, Josh was really talented, or still is a really talented guy. But,
right.
another we have another wild card, I think, coming up at Barber. Superbike Unlimited has an entry.
Yeah.
What was
Andrew
it?
Lee.
Andrew Lee, yeah. So they're one of our sponsors as well. So hopefully they have a good run. You know, I'll have to see some more people get involved in the class.
Yeah, Andrew Lee's a ripper. I mean, that dude's won the #1 plate in the Superstock class a couple years in a row, and
Yeah.
a bunch of club racing #1. I think you even made a CVMA #1 thing for him a couple years
Did I
ago.
really?
Yeah.
Maybe.
No, you did.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so he's a local champ, right? Local hero kind of
Yeah.
thing. I don't
Yeah.
really know him, you know. But,
Yeah, he's like that tall, redheaded kid, skinny.
oh, I couldn't pick him out of a crowd. I thought he was a short Asian guy.
No, no.
Well, his name's Lee.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Chris Lee, right? You met
Yeah,
Chili.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, so that'd be good. I think I like to see that. I mean, they're running Kawasaki. It should be pretty fast.
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about, hoping that Kawasaki comes back to the series, and I think more manufacturers need to come back, right? I mean,
Yeah. No, there's some word of.
capacity.
I hear some grumblings of Ducati. You know, like maybe a more official entry.
Yeah,
That'd be kind of cool. And there's also some grumblings of maybe Aprilia trying to get their cheater bike in there. You know, 1100cc thing they have.
oh man, that's funny.
Yeah, so that'd be all right. You know, mix it up.
Yeah. All right, let's see what else. Oh yeah, people are saying they can't wait to see Andrew rip. So a couple more fan questions too. Eric Kadosh, he's the guy that's. I think you built a swing arm for a ZX7 for him like 1,000,000 years ago.
A million had to be at least a million.
Yeah, yeah. So he was saying, can you ask him to have Cam slow down?
I already asked him. He said no.
Yeah, I know, right? Matty Testa wants to know, when reviewing data, what's some of the things that you look for first? Is it wheel spin, suspension travel, or sector times?
Well, I talk with a rider first. So the very first thing I do is I talk with the rider, and then we whip out the old track map and we say, okay, go, take me for a lap. You know, so we start to finish, we work our way all the way around. And by that time, you'll have the goods and the bads. And then, you know, and then you'll obviously you plug the bike in and start downloading, because we have so much information on the bike. It doesn't download like in 2 seconds, you know. So while it's downloading, I briefly go over the map, and then, you know, whatever sections he wants to poke at first. But the very first thing I look at is the health of the motorcycle. So make sure the oil pressure is good and the water temp's good and all those kinds of different things, or nothing's going south with any of the voltages. So you have a little health screen, and you look at the diagnostics and you go, okay, oh, that's cool. And then you start getting into what the rider's complaints are. And there's a lot of information that you may not catch it all, so you have to be very focused.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can stare at it for a week if you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen that stuff, and I would have to stare at it for a week to even understand it.
You're an IT guy. Don't make that stuff up.
Yeah, but I'm kind of a dumb motorcycle racer. I just, yeah. Anybody that knows me knows that.
Yeah.
Matt Canava, he asks if the V4 can compete with the inline fours. Is there like a power delivery difference that hinders them?
The Ducati
Yeah,
V4R.
I would imagine.
That thing's like a MotoGP bike with a single-sided swing arm. I mean, that thing should be winning everything. I don't know why it's not. I mean, on paper, it looks like it should be winning everything.
Yeah.
If I had one of those things, first thing I would do is take that single-sided swing arm and throw it away and build a new one with both sides on there. I mean, it's just an iconic thing more than anything, right?
Right.
You know, it's kind of like Corvette when they had their stupid fiberglass single spring going across from one thing to the other. I mean, it's like one suspension to the other, like in the 60s. You know, finally it went coil over. Probably because the guy who designed it finally died, you know? I think it's the same thing
Wow,
with
man.
the side swing arm. They,
That's
they, look at MotoGP Ducati. There's no single side swing arms in MotoGP. So the first thing I would do on that thing, if it was mine, I would just chuck that swing arm and put on a good one and go racing. Because that thing, I mean, on paper, it's basically the same as their very close to their MotoGP engines with a cam chain instead of gear drive. So I call that thing a cheater bike. Should be winning.
so we've also got our weekly request from Duffy to
Yeah.
have you build a Yamaha for Josh Heron.
Unless they show me the money. And of
Wow.
course, if anyone can buy time, that'd be really good too.
Yeah.
Have you got a time machine?
Yeah, well, there's a
I
bunch
just
of
know,
running
I
around.
just know that when we get back from Barber, we'll see how Barber, works out. We're gonna have to go back and replenish our supplies after the last couple of weekends. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
Matt's got some more work cut out for him,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Matt Color Zone's gonna be really busy. We're gonna be really busy, and gotta build a couple of fast engines for Indy. And just go there and have some fun.
So Matt Reitlinger asks, I guess I don't know which incident he's talking about, but it's one of Jake's crashes. But he's like, was Jake overriding the bike, or no? You know what he's talking about? The bike moving around. Like, is he overriding the bike, or does he have like a setup issue, or his preference is just different, or?
No, actually, the bikes are very close in setup. Like when I compare notes, it's like they're really, really close. I think Jake is just super aggressive. And, that before race 2, I pulled up an overlay of Jake's data and Cameron's data. I don't have it here to show you, but and I sat down with Jake and I said, look, which one's your data? And he kind of picked at it, and I said, that guy there has the throttle open longer and shuts it later is going half second slower than the other guy. Why is that? And we talked about smoothing out and not pitching the bike so much. I mean, he's really aggressive, right? So he gets the bike moving around. It's kind of nervous. He throws the bike really hard. I think if he works out, I mean, it's great to be that aggressive. And maybe, during the winter, we can set up a bike that can take that kind of aggression. But until then, he needs to smooth out a little bit. And I think that's where the lap times will come. I think he could be right there with. I mean, he has all the ability to be right there with Cameron.
He's so exciting to watch, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, watching the thing, man.
It's just not the fastest way around the racetrack. That's the only problem.
Right.
It's fun to watch. Yeah.
Sebastian Sanchez says he's got a question he's been dying to ask. He says a while back, some guy that he knows from Austria named Karl Putz, I don't know, or Charlie Putz, I don't know who this guy is, but he says, he says that MotoAmerica was nothing more than a well-organized club race or a well-organized track day or some shit like that. He says that he was crew chief and master engine builder for Xerox Vila Ducati and for MotoGP Ducati. And, what do you think, or how would you articulate the level of MotoAmerica?
I think Mr. Putz is a blowhard. To put it mildly.
Like Putz, actually.
Yeah, it sounds like a putz.
Right.
He might be all of that. I don't know.
You're right.
I mean, you're talking about MotoGP, if he did all that stuff. I imagine maybe he did. But, you have to be in the right place at the right time to know some right people being MotoGP. So obviously that Mr. Putz knows that. And, being at a national level is just a different scenario. When the AMA was racing, okay, back in the day when the factories were involved, the salaries in the AMA were higher than everyone but maybe the top 3 or 4 in MotoGP, if you can imagine that. And they were actually higher than World Superbike. So
Right.
this series, I mean, it's kind of clawing its way back from the ugly days of the DMG when NASCAR decided to take it over. You know, I think AMA should have hung on to it, but they blew it. They sold it. Those guys ran it to the ground, and now Wayne Rainey and the boys are trying to put it all back together. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, their viewership's getting better. As far as the bikes go, the technology, Mr. Putz probably doesn't know what he's talking about, but they're at the same level as World Superbike. We actually run electronics that are more sophisticated than that Xerox thing they had. If you can imagine that.
Thing they had.
Yeah, I'm serious. See, that was a few years ago.
You're right.
You know, quite a few years ago, right? So
Right.
the ECUs that are currently in these things, and probably even most of the stock motorcycles, have more power than some of the ECUs that ran back then. So, for instance, I think the MLE, if I remember right, is the unified ECU from MotoGP. So, like 2012, 13, 14 range, maybe a little bit later even. And same with some of the strategies and software. I mean, I have some of the MotoGP manuals for the Morelli, and this system has a few more features than MotoGP did at the time. So if he's concerned about the level, then I think he's ill-informed and just a hater.
Nice.
Pretty much. Making no friends with that guy.
Hey, you know what? That's why we're real, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
give the real deal. Somebody's asking about your banner.
Banner.
Like, did you make that? Because it fits perfect to your head.
You know, I cropped and made that thing, and I checked it out. It's like, how can I get my head right between all the logos that block it? Look it. So I could sit here like this and block all the logos, but you know, you got to think about this stuff. It's like when you go to the races, you got to think about what you're going to do. You don't just show up and go, oh, do a few laps. So what do you think? I don't know. Let's talk about it. No, you have to have a plan.
Right.
Yeah.
So funny.
Same with a banner.
All right. So Matt Testa is asking this question. I already asked on his behalf, but I'll ask it again. You know, would you be opposed to MotoAmerica switching to a more spec series like British Superbike?
Yes.
Minimal electronics and other things to keep the playing a little more balanced.
It won't be balanced. It'll be more lopsided.
Right.
Because guys that are smoother, like Cameron, and know how to use the power, have really good throttle control, will be gone. So to have that amount of talent, the more you throw at them, the bigger the gap. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so if you throw a lot of difficulties at a really talented guy, he's going to be able to manage that better than if you throw a lot of difficulties at someone who's less talented. So if someone thinks the field's going to be more level, they're confused.
Well, there you go, Matty.
Yeah, Matt, you're confused.
Let's see. He said this guy, infamously unknown, says he had a funny feeling the perfectionist pulled that through. Well done. I don't know what that meant. I don't know.
Maybe the banner.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, like you slid your head back so you could slide in between.
Which way is my head? Oh, right there. There you go.
Nice. All right, so next up, you've got Barber this coming weekend, right?
Yeah, we're gonna get a little wet putting up the canopy.
You get wet putting up the canopy. Nice.
Good old Sally's gonna rain on us, I guess, whatever her name is.
Hurricane Sal.
Sally, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's right. There's hurricanes out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll take the fires and ash out here.
Yeah, it's the South.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be some fans here too, which is another thing too. In New Jersey, there were it was open to fans, and it was actually a really good turnout. Mr. Putz,
It looked like it. I mean, it looked like there was a bunch of fans on TV. I mean, or on the MotoAmerica Live Plus, right?
You know, when I can tell there's a lot of fans is when you got to try to ride your scooter to race control because your rider decided to do a start before the checkered flag during qualifying. You have to go pay $150 fine. And anyway, when you're riding the race control and you have to beep at people so they get out of the way and zigzag between a bunch of people, all of a sudden you're like, wow, there's a lot of people here. You can't just zoom over to race control, or you have to take a different road over there, you know? So anyway, yeah, so that's when I realized, wow, there's a lot of people here. Usually my head's in the garage or in the computer the whole time. I don't really notice anything.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Barber, I was going to ask you if Barber's going to have fans. So they are going to have fans?
yeah, Barber's gonna have fans. I'm not sure about Indy. I mean, Indianapolis, Indiana, I guess probably, you know. I don't think the governor there is that lefty. So he doesn't have everyone
Yeah,
locked down. All the lefty governors won't let you have fans.
right.
Pretty much how it works.
Yeah. So, yeah, so Laguna obviously is not going to have fans. They've already
No.
announced it, even though
I mean,
it's,
there's a fire there too, right across from the old Fort Ord, you know, right in the hills there off of
yeah,
Eccles. I mean, that whole hillside is burning, so I don't know.
yeah,
Hopefully they got it out in a month.
yeah, you would think.
Yeah, yeah, but they probably won't have fans because it's before the elections.
Well, they've already announced that they weren't going to have fans, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So,
So it'll be
uh,
like be
so
boring.
Barber's kind of a different track too, right? It's shorter, right? Is it short and narrow?
Barber? You don't know Barber?
I've
It's
never
kind
been. It
it's
just
a
looks.
yeah,
It's
it's a
always
roller
looked
coaster.
short and narrow.
It's yeah, there's no real big straightaways, you know. So if I had to describe it, I guess it's a little bit, you know, Chuck Wall is probably a little bit bigger because the lap times are a little bit longer. But it's kind of a roller coaster track, up, down, and you know a lot of elevation change and chicane on the back straightaway. Front straightaway is relatively short. It's a fairly technical track,
So,
and they had paved it before last year, and it was super abrasive on tires. So we always have to run the hardest front and hardest rear tires. And we tested, the track was still pretty abrasive on tires, so it hadn't really come in. Be curious to see what it's like now. I mean, it's like an official Porsche racetrack, so you would think the cars would have mellowed out the track a little bit, but I think they put something in the aggregate. I don't know if it was shells or something like that, but it's pretty abrasive on the motorcycle tires. So we have to run some pretty hard tires. But when we were there, I think Cameron was the second faster than anyone in the test, and he only did a few laps. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. I think it'll be fine.
so how different is the bike setup and all that at that particular track? How different is it from, say, Jersey?
You know what? We'll start with the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean the baseline on this motorcycle has been like we roll it out and we put it at the baseline and Cameron just goes, and he'll be immediately P1. And so I mean we're like a millimeter this way that way. Springs we may change from, you know, let's say we have a 10.5, we might change it to an 11 in one leg just to get the rate up a little bit. Depends if it's like for Barber, for instance, there's what they call Charlotte's Web, is a downhill turn 5 area. It puts a lot of load on the front tire, so we may go up a little bit on the spring rate for that section or change the oil level. That's about it. Other than that, the bike pretty much remains same wheelbase, almost the same gearing. You know, it's pretty much the baseline. You know, just show up and just go. Once you have a good motorcycle, you should be able to ride it at a lot of different configuration tracks.
So then after Barber, you've got Indy, what, a few weeks after that, and then Laguna.
Yeah, Indy should be exciting. Last time we were at Indy was with MotoGP. You know, so that was in 2012 and 13. You know, so we never finished in 13 because Blake crashed the thing on the start. But 2012, we actually scored a couple of championship points there. So I know the track really well. And we haven't been there in a while. A lot of riders probably haven't even ridden there at all. I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean,
Yeah.
most of
The last time
timers
MotoAmerica
are
rode
gone,
there,
right?
2015, something like that.
Yeah.
Cameron rode there, so he knows the track. I think Jake rode there. I'm not sure.
So those two rounds also, the Indy and Laguna, they're going to be 3 Superbike races a weekend, right?
Yeah, they're making up for the one that they lost Coda, so they're making up for Coda
Okay.
and VIR. VIR got replaced, I think, with Ridge. So I think they're just basically making up 2 more rounds. So they're going to do 3. So I imagine they're going to do one on Saturday because of Super Bowl,
Right.
and then they're going to do one on Sunday, probably before lunch, and one after lunch. I think that's the way they would do it. I hope. So we'll see how it goes.
Just doing back to back. Just
Just come in, add fuel, and go again.
yeah.
Change tires.
It's like you guys when you were racing World Superbike at Laguna, right?
Yeah, that was pretty hard on the riders, man.
Yeah.
Even JD, who's so fit, was pretty whooped after doing them back to back.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
All right, Richard. Well, you know what, man? I think we're a little bit over an hour. And oh, you know what? I got some more questions here. Let's see here. Is there any bonus for Attack or Yamaha, or Attack or Cameron if you break track records?
I don't know what's in Cameron's contract, so I can't tell you there. I know there's none for us, but in case I'm not supposed to talk about that. I think I signed an NDA at some point, but
And
no,
then,
there's generally no bonuses for track records. Just a pat on the back. Good boy.
And then also, this is a question that's been going around, and I'll ask it because I will ask just about anything. Somebody asked, I'm not even going to say it. Well, I'll say his name, Matt Caneva. Again, he asks, WTF happened to Tony's eyebrow? I guess Tony is missing an eyebrow on one side, it looks like. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe they use it for his hair plugs? I don't know.
I don't know. Like I could ask Tony directly, but
I would ask Tony.
Yeah.
Maybe he shaved a little too high. I don't know.
A style thing? I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. They used to put little lines in there, I think. Studs in the head, something. Maybe it bothered his helmet.
Jeff Stern says, "What's up?"
Tell me he's an idiot. I'm always razzing Jeff. He always razzes me back.
Yeah, I mean, between Jeff Stern and Curtis Adams, like those two guys were basically my racetrack dads when I started racing a million years ago. And
dude, I told you, we already went through all this, but Curtis rode our bike, and he was really fast at the time.
Yeah, you guys still goes.
Yeah, he still goes good.
All right, Richard. Well, I'm gonna let you do whatever it is that you do and figure out data or whatever it is in your.
No, I think I'm gonna go to sleep.
It's
getting late over here.
All right, man.
All right, see ya.
Good night. Good luck this weekend.
Oh yeah, we'll have fun. Later.